Hello. Hey everyone, thank you all for being here. I know we have the lunch right after this, so I won't keep you. I'll be brief. But today, I think really instead of trying to do all of that and try to sell you something, we have time for that. But today, with just 15 minutes, I would like to at least share with you some of the insights that we have. We do this on the regular, and if you find it useful, interesting, this resonates with you, then I would love to have a follow-up conversation with you over lunch. And our booth is over there by the door. Today with us, we have Cherie is our executive. We have Jillian, our marketing person. We're also here with our local partner. We have a local partner here that works with us to help with engagement, support, and just helping with the language issues as well. Track Thai is here with us. Some of you may know them already or already work with them. So let's get into it. So who is Fastly? I know some of you have been sitting here for a while, so you've seen the video. It's been playing nonstop since the morning. But really, in a nutshell, people love using Fastly. And if you have never heard of us, please do check us out. We would love to introduce that to you. And just to kind of quickly run you through, so you have some context on what we'll show you later and how we get those information, Fastly is a very highly innovative, respected worldwide CDN. Many of the apps on your phone today are actually running on Fastly. When you turn on the TV, you're watching a video, your favorite movie, your favorite sports movie, chances are it's running through Fastly. We also have a WAF and web application firewall. That's the next generation. That's kind of why we're here today, to talk about cybersecurity. And that lives today on our CDN. It also lives on on-premise solutions, managed services, etc. We're also an edge leader in Forrester. So we do everything from CDN to security to computing at the edge, or some of you may know it as serverless, right? Oh, sorry. Let me just go back. And of course, we have a lot of customers here today. I've just done a quick slice across all the different verticals, different types of industry that Fastly operates in today. And so you'll see everything from things like the news, channels, video, Reddit, Boots. I think Boots is everywhere here in Thailand as well. And many of these apps, you may use them in one way or another without even realizing it. Right, so we do this very often, and we usually produce a bunch of reports. If you find today's session useful, you go to our website. We have a ton of industry reports across all these different verticals as well. And the only reason we're able to do these type of things is because we operate such a wonderful network. We work with so many customers. We have all this amount of data and insights going through our network and being protected by our WAF every day. Right, and this is just a bit of a snapshot as well, and usually what we do in these discussions. But today we want to do a bit of sharing as well, and so we have this report called The Race to Adapt. You can download it. I'll give you guys the QR code to scan later to read through. And this has been a really hot topic. We get these questions all the time, and we do interviews, we do questionnaires. But the most key thing I just wanted to share with you today on this slide in particular is that we oftentimes talk about the financial damages, the difficulty and stress, when you see an attack or you're under attack. But what really stands out to me is that when such a breach happens, or you're under attack and your services go down, it actually takes almost 7 to 8 months just for your customer to have that trust back in you today. And that's something that, depending on what industry you're in, can even be longer. It may be irrecoverable. So it's something that to take really seriously today, aside from just the financial damages. Right, so if we just look at some of the security incidents in the past year, and I have a couple of these, but I'll go through them fairly quickly because everyone here, I think, is in some way related to IT or not. I don't have to convince you. I'm just here to share more data, more insights that you can then maybe take back to your CFO or to get more budget with. Right, so as you can see, the top impacts of the security incidents are always talking about things like downtime, data loss, revenue loss, and that's pretty consistent. But what we notice is that on average, the amount of incidents has drastically gone up, right? So almost 40 security incidents in the last 12 months is the average. So hopefully, you experience something less than that, and that's something that we can help you with. Another interesting thing is that just because you're not in the finance sector, for example, it doesn't make you immune. Just because you're not running an e-commerce business doesn't mean you don't need to care about security. Based on what we can see on our network, based on these reports that we see very often, and often nowadays when we correlate and find these threat actors, what we see is that they are targeting across industry. Nobody is immune. Right? So just now when I showed you all those wonderful reports we have across industries, this is what we are talking about. So don't let your guard down. Don't think that you can ignore it because you don't belong in maybe, say, a traditionally viewed as very, I guess, high value target industry. Right, and if we were to further break it down, where we ask some of these customers, correspondents, what they foresee, what they forecast, how do they react and respond to what's happening out there right now? The number one, I think this is to nobody's surprise, is that we see rising attacks from automation tools, from threat actors that are using AI, using tools that are automated rather than the traditional old and slow method. Right? But what is also interesting is if you look at the second highest factor here, is actually to do with digital transformation. And today that's still a very present thing in Southeast Asia. A lot of companies are still on that transformation roadmap. Some of their stack are on the cloud, some of them are on two clouds, some of them are on half cloud, half on-premise. It's all over the place, and that leaves them pretty open to issues, including even after migration, there may be gaps here and there. They don't exactly know what to do or what's the best approach here. Right, so we can talk a bit about that in the later half, right before we conclude. That's something that we often have conversations with our customers with. And when we look at when we are trying to understand and predict what will be the coming threats, right, so that we can better prepare, better finance, better train our staff to protect against, this is what we see following the next 3 months. And one of the most common concerns, but often ignored as well, is actually the human element. Right? It's not just enough to buy the right tools, not just enough to have the best practices. Actually, social engineering, people, the lack of training, lack of skills being imparted to them, best practices being shared is still going to be a critical factor for us. So, as a vendor in the cybersecurity space and talking to many of our customers here, what can we do to help you? What can we do? Is oftentimes in reports like this, in sharing sessions like roundtables that we do, and of course, to make our product as easy to use as possible, right? To not complicate things, to make your already complex app environment even more complicated. It should be easy to protect, no matter how complicated your environment is. Talking on that, this is probably just the last few, I guess, graph and information-heavy slides. I won't bore you too much with that. I want to show you a bit about Fastly as well, so you get excited and have a conversation with us over lunch, or at least drop by our booth. But when we talk about the investment change for cybersecurity, this is where it's increasingly being allocated enough. And you can see that there is a huge increase over time. But even then, you can see that there's a bit of lack of direction in terms of what should we do, even if we have the money, even if we can budget it, where do we spend it on is the best, right? 50%, so half of all these people still think it's insufficient. So just to summarize all we've seen, what does the data point to? What is the key point here that we're trying to say here is that these business challenges are universal that we see right now, and we hope that maybe we can do a bit to help with that. So the obvious one is going to be resource limitations. Not every company is going to have unlimited budget to do security. Oftentimes, security budget seems to be shrinking year on year, which shouldn't be the case. It should be trying to keep pace. Your attackers are only growing, spending more. The other one is a bit of what we talked about, surface area attack. The complex app environments that people are using nowadays, different types of servers, different types of applications, are making it harder. Your skill set needs to be broader as well. And of course, the tools that you already bought, the tools that you already invested in, they need to play nice with each other. You don't want to have your developers spend time learning a new tool every time you onboard a new vendor, a new solution, every time they want to launch a new app. Security shouldn't be the blocker. Security should be the first thing that says, we're all set, you're safe, you're secure, go ahead, let me know if something comes up. So coming back to Fastly, just to kind of talk a bit and why these all make, what context we're talking about here, why we have this information, why we think we can provide you something that is a bit different, is that we have a unified platform. So most of us here know Fastly from the CDN side. We have a fantastic network, super fast, highly performant, and that goes very well with things like media delivery and CDN. We're also very well respected in the security space. You saw those accolades. Customers who use us love us. And I think that's the biggest hallmark for a firewall. Most people have one, but they hate it. They don't even have it in blocking mode. They're dealing with false positives all the time. That's something that we do a lot better. And then, of course, we have things like the compute and observability, which boils back down to how do we solve the problem of having these complex app environments. If you don't know what's going to the apps, you don't know what's happening on the apps, how do you actually make sure that it's secure? How do you actually make sure that it performs even better? So the best part of it is actually all within the same platform. Today, when we talk about security, how we can make it easy for customers to stay secure, reduce the overhead, reduce the complexity, this is how we do it today. So this is an edge-based security service layer. For those of you who may not be familiar with such a setup, I'll just walk you through very briefly, and you can see why we do it this way. So if you look at the right-hand side, that's where you guys are at right now. We have customers that use not just one cloud, they might be on 2 clouds, 3 clouds, on-premise, half here, half there, and that's increasingly complicated. You're going to have to manage 4 to 5 different rule sets all the time. When you add a new rule, you forget, hey, what does that look like on my AWS now that we have it set up on Azure, for example, right? So what we can do today is to simplify that. We make sure it's consistent. When you apply one set of rules, you apply one set of detection, it's always going to protect all that traffic going into your environment. You push that layer further out, you get a multi-layer defense. You stop threats even before they reach anywhere near any of your environments, right? And so that's where we are today in the blue portion. Attackers, end users, bots, they're all going to try to hit you anywhere. This gets even more complicated when you have a distributed application that doesn't just sit in one data center. You might have multiple origins spread all around the world. That becomes something that you're going to be more and more common nowadays as well. So for Fastly here, we have a solution. Our platform, what we do is that we integrate and deploy with developers in mind first and foremost. You can manage everything through an API, through your current CI/CD workflow, through Terraform, if that's something that you do today. We want to simplify, not make it harder, not introduce 10 different dashboards that they need to log into every day to figure out what's happening and to make a simple change. Right? It's 100% API driven. And as it passes through our network, what we do immediately for you is DDoS mitigation at the edge. DDoS is something that has been here for 10, 20, 30 years since the internet was born. What's different nowadays is that your DDoS attacks look 10 times larger in just seconds, and then it stops. So traditional DDoS methods, the old way of doing things, they're not fast enough. By the time you divert your traffic, the attack is over, the damage is done. By doing it by this layer, we're stopping DDoS right at the edge. We're detecting, we're stopping it within seconds. And so none of it even reaches anywhere close to you. We're stopping it as close as possible to where the attack origin is coming from. We also have a very strong bot management product. We don't have all the time in the world to walk you through that today, but it's something that we have just upgraded and just launched to take advantage, to understand how we can work better to detect these AI crawlers, the good ones and the bad ones. You want your firewall to be able to allow through the good ones while stopping the bad ones that are causing you problems, stealing your content, stealing your proprietary information as well. And so all of that then goes to our next-gen WAF. This is where we can help customers really reduce the cost, the human cost, the time cost in managing things like false positives, rule tuning, chasing after configurations, making sure that they're consistent in every single one of their environment. By doing it right at the edge, we can reduce that deployment time and that time down so that they can then use that on more valuable tasks today. Right, so this is something that we can do for you. And the deployment method, because it's so fast, it's at the edge, it works out of the box. One benefit here that you may not realize is that you're not touching any of your code base. You're not touching any of your internal environments set up in those clouds at all. All the change you're doing is done at the edge. You can test, deploy super quickly without having worried about breaking something. And if something doesn't work, you can just revert it or reroll it back immediately. Right? And at the end of the day, what we can do for you as well in the outputs is pretty simple. Again, we don't want you to break out of your tool set. If today you're using your favorite SIM, it works fine for you. You're using Grafana, you're using any of the reporting tools, alerting tools, PagerDuties. We want your engineers, your developers, your CSOC team to be able to stay within those tools. We will happily integrate with those, feed the right data in real time from your application as it passes through Fastly's network to them. Right? So you're no longer waiting for the logs to come in, analyzing the logs, figuring out what's wrong. You're getting that data straight from the source right at the edge as soon as possible in real time. So that's how we do it today. That's our recommendation. That's how the high-level diagram, I guess, we have today. This is the way we are addressing, reacting to those threats, to those industry trends that we saw in those previous few graphs. I hope this makes a lot of sense to you. Unfortunately, we don't have all the time in the world to dive in each layer by layer, but we would love to be able to do that at our booth, give you guys some hands-on, talk to you offline with your teams to see whether Fastly can do something better for you today. Right? And of course, to bring back, I guess, some questions for your team. This is our recommendation, our approach. How do you start this conversation with your team today? Revisit how protection is being done for your applications, whether it's be at the WAF, whether it's the CDN you're using, if you're trying to buy a new tool, you're trying to consolidate your solutions today. These are the questions that are important to ask your team, ask yourselves, to make sure that there's a sanity check. This is the right things we're doing. Right? The threats are ever evolving. We have to keep up. And the sky is not falling. A lot of today's people you're talking to are going to sell you doom and gloom. But it's not all bad. There are things that we can do to make sure that we're up to date, make sure that we're doing the most efficient way, protecting it in the most modern way possible as well. Right. So I'm just going to jump to this last slide. I skipped one because that's very wordy, and those you'll be able to read, or get on your own. I've just summarized it into those 4 steps already. And if you want to know more about Fastly, you want to know more about those graphs that I've showed you, those nice data that we have collected and compiled into those reports, those are available on our website. We'd like to put them on the last slide as a QR code before we conclude, and you guys make your way to the booth or the lunch. And I'm not going to keep you from your food. Thank you all today, and I hope to have better conversations with you outside. Thank you.
All right.